If you're an avid birdwatcher or a field biologist wondering whether the Swarovski Spotting Scope HD STS 65 is the right investment, who should really get it, who can safely skip it, and does the price make sense for everyday outdoors enthusiasts? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The hesitation most people feel isn't about the glossy marketing, it's about whether a high-end optic will actually translate into clearer sightings on a misty morning, and if that clarity is worth lugging around a half-kilogram piece of glass. First off, let's talk about the kind of situations that push a spotting scope from nice to have to essential. I've spent a weekend in a low-elevation wetland where the light never quite broke through the canopy, and another day on a sun-baked ridge with a flock of swifts darting at 2,000 feet. In both cases, the biggest pain point is light transmission. A 65mm objective that claims excellent light throughput isn't just a brag, it means the difference between a pale silhouette and a sharply defined feather pattern when the sun is low. Swarovski's use of fluoride-containing HD lenses is aimed precisely at that problem, reducing color fringing and boosting contrast. In my field test, the image retained its punch even at 30 magnification, something many cheaper scopes lose to a washed-out haze. Now, who should consider spending the premium on this model? If you regularly need to identify species at a distance where a few extra pixels of clarity can mean the difference between maybe a warbler and definitely a warbler, the STS 65 pays its weight in insight. That includes serious birders who track rare migrants, wildlife photographers who need a reliable preview before setting up a telephoto lens, and scientific observers who must document subtle field markings for reports. The straight-angle housing is a subtle but big win for these users. You can keep the scope level while swiveling your head to follow a bird in flight, which reduces fatigue during long observation sessions. The 12-inch length and 39.2-ounce weight are manageable on a tripod, and the lifetime warranty adds a safety net for those who expect the instrument to accompany them for years. On the flip side, casual backyard birders who usually stay within 200 feet and are happy with a pair of binoculars might find the price hard to justify. The scope sells at a level where many people would rather buy a second set of high-quality binoculars or invest in a camera lens that doubles as a telephoto. If you're only looking for occasional sightings on clear days, the extra light transmission and high-contrast glass will be nice but not necessary. Also, the scope ships without an eyepiece, so you'll need to buy a compatible one separately. That extra cost and the need to match eye relief can be a stumbling block for someone who just wants to point and look. Practical strengths become clearer when you picture a typical day in the field. The HD lenses give a crisp, high-contrast view that holds up as you pan across a flock of geese. I noticed that even under a thin veil of mist, the scope delivered a view that felt almost like looking through a window rather than a piece of glass. The straight-angle design means the line of sight stays close to the tripod column, so you can keep the scope steady while your head moves, which is a subtle ergonomic benefit that adds up over hours. The aluminum body resists the occasional bump you get when you set it down on a rocky ledge, and the lifetime warranty signals that Swarovski expects the instrument to survive those bumps. The weaknesses are equally specific. Because the scope is optimized for high-definition glass, it leans on the premium side, and the absence of a built-in eyepiece forces you to make a second purchase decision. If you choose a low-quality eyepiece, you'll squander the optical advantages of the objective lens. Also, while 65mm is a sweet spot for balancing light gathering and portability, it still requires a sturdy tripod for the highest magnifications. A flimsy tripod will introduce vibration that nullifies the clarity you paid for. Finally, the straight-angle housing, while great for tracking, can make low-angle viewing a little awkward because the scope sits higher above the tripod head than a traditional angled model. Let's compare that to the broader spotting scope market. Many mid-range scopes sit around 40 to 50 mm and use standard BK7 glass. Those will give you a usable image, but they tend to lose contrast in low light and show more chromatic aberration at the edges. The STS65's fluoride-enhanced HD glass pushes that edge performance further, so you can actually see the subtle banding on a distant raven's wing rather than just a blur. In terms of price per millimeter of objective, you're paying a premium, but you're also buying the technology that most entry-level scopes simply can't match. What about real-world durability? I left the scope on a damp log for a few minutes while I swapped batteries on my field recorder. The aluminum housing didn't show any sign of moisture ingress, and after wiping it down, the optics were still spotless. Users on forums often mention that the